Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another edition of Under the Radar, where we talk all things film. And tonight we're going to do a recap of the Tribeca Film Festival, which was sadly canceled last year. So we definitely got our fill of great cinema this year. And with me tonight to discuss all things Tribeca, I have a wonderful panel of guest critics. This is amazing. Back for more, it's Karen Benardello. Karen, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be back again and talking about some more movies from Tribeca again.
Definitely. So exciting to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, also back is Mateo Moreno. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much.
And Matthew Schuckman. Welcome back, sir.
Hello.
He's here. He has arrived. You all have arrived. But before we start off discussing the festival, I just wanted to go around real quick and see, what are you guys watching these days? What are your pandemic picks, so to speak? I got to change that title, but what are you guys watching right now? Karen, after you.
Well, I'm still doing a lot of like horror movies and everything. So I watched a few horror movies for the festival, and one that stood out, just kind of delving in quickly early about the festival, is a false positive. So I enjoyed that one, and just a bunch of like horror movies and just in general. So
I love it. Yeah, you're definitely a horror buff from what I remember. So
yeah.
keep on trucking with that. Mateo, what are you watching? What are you keeping busy with?
I'm catching up on. I waited for years and years to finish Breaking Bad, and somehow did not get spoiled. So that was during the pandemic, and now I'm catching up on Better Call Saul. So that's kind of my binge right now, as well as some Nexium. I think I'm saying that right. The Allison Mack cult, the documentary about that. In honor of her going to jail today. So
very timely, very, very, very appropriate. It's awesome. And Mr. Truckman, what are you watching these days?
I mean, I actually haven't been watching much. I actually just randomly do the same thing I always do. I should sit down and start something that I've been meaning to watch forever, or something new that everybody talks about. Instead, I spent the weekend rewatching Future Man, or telling my friends that who never seen Hap and Leonard that they should go watch Hap and Leonard, because why did nobody ever watch Hap and Leonard when it was on? Which the first season's kind of weird and not as great, but the second season is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. So everybody should just go watch Hap and Leonard.
Okay, good to know. I always value you guys' recommendations. And for me, I actually have been in the middle of a very strong Michael Douglas kick. I've been trying to watch all of the films.
I saw that.
Yeah. On Facebook, yeah. Basically, right now I'm in the middle. I basically watch these movies in pieces. So I'm between Disclosure and The Ghost in Darkness. So very different films, very different performances, but both very entertaining. And yeah, he's become one of my favorite actors. I've loved him since Wonder Boys. So I'm really happy to explore his filmography in more detail, in more depth. And I also scratched the surface of Rick and Morty. So I'm trying to get into that one. So far, so good. But yeah, enough of that. Let's get to the main event. So Tribeca Film Festival, hundreds of films, literally. I believe there was, when I checked the website, there was like 172 narrative features, which is insane. I only got through about maybe 15 of them. 2 of which were shorts. So, I did my best, and I think I did okay this year. I covered it virtually. I think some of you did as well, which was actually really a lot more convenient. I think I got to see more films this way than I did at the actual Tribeca screening room 2 years ago. So just real quick, guys, how was your experience like this year, Mateo?
I covered it virtually as well. And it was a great experience. I was able to see about 30, 33, 35 films, somewhere around there, including shorts and features and docs. It's always, Tribeca always has a plethora of options, and way too many to finish in 2 weeks, let alone
Right.
or you know. But yeah, I had a good fest. I saw a lot of good stuff. I saw a few not so good stuff, and but overall, I had a good fest.
Sweet, sweet. Karen, how about you? How was your experience this year?
It was pretty good. I also did virtually, so like Zoom and a few phone interviews as well, and saw everything virtually online. The screenings I did saw about I think it was about 25 features overall. So I did a bunch of like narratives and documentaries over a couple of weeks. So pretty busy. So I saw a lot more, like you said, about virtually than actually in person, but kind of just packed everything in and over the past few weeks. So it's pretty good.
And I know, Karen, that you're big on interviews, and I
Yeah.
respect you for that. One of my interviewing colleagues, if you will. But and I think we both interviewed Kaylee Reese of Catch the Fair one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That was one that I really enjoyed as well. I thought it was really entertaining and really well thought out, and I really liked that one. That was one of like the earlier interviews I did during the festival, and that one really stood out during the whole fest for me as well. So that one I really recommend as well.
A really great beginning to the festival, I'd say.
Yeah.
After In Heights, of course. Matthew, what was your experience like overall?
Yeah, 100 and somewhat films, and I saw a whopping 3.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, due to my schedule this year, I didn't get to do as much as I wanted to. I was on a camping trip during the meat of the festival this year. A lot of the stuff, some of the stuff I saw way before the festival, and other stuff I saw right before I went away. Because I also ended up doing a few interviews, and you know, that was really what I had to get out of the way before anything else. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see as much as I would like to, where I normally would, and I'm sure I'll catch up on a lot of them.
Yeah.
But the good news is, of course, what I saw for the most part, I guess we'll say 63% was very good.
Okay. Well, happy to hear that. All right, guys. So the format for tonight, I want to just go down the list of what I saw, and basically, if you saw it, chime in. Feel free. Have a little discussion for each film, kind of like a mini review session or whatever. So basically, In the Heights, I think we all saw this one. It opened up the festival. You didn't see it, Matt.
I haven't seen it yet. No, it's just too crazy, too busy. Not even being able to. I mean, I could have watched it on my TV at home, on the HBO Max and all of this stuff. Just couldn't fit it in.
Gotcha. Well, you're in for a treat because it is a spectacle. So, okay. Mateo, Karen, what did you think? Did you see the film?
Yeah, I've seen it twice already. In the Heights is one of my favorite musicals, period. And as a Latin man, it is a very kind of my people kind of show. And it's always spoken to me very, very personally. I saw it off Broadway, and then I saw it on Broadway. And I honestly, truly think it's one of the best movie musicals I've ever seen in my entire life. I think it will stand the test of time. It's unfortunate that the box office numbers aren't great, and I think that's due to a lot of different factors, post-pandemic, the HBO Max at the same time, but I think it will definitely be something that people continue to go back to and back to.
Yeah, for sure. I think over time, definitely it'll gain more momentum, kind of like I guess a cult following, if you will. That's how I envision it, because it's just such a beautifully done film, and the performances are pretty damn good actually. Anthony Ramos really anchors the film well, so I'm actually looking forward to seeing what he does in the future, because he just lit up the screen really.
He did. I don't think there's a bad performance in it, and the voices. I mean, everyone can actually sing. There's no Russell Crowe among them, and not only sing, but I mean they sang. Like
Yeah.
they have beautiful voices, and they updated the script slightly, brought in the Dreamer storyline. I thought it was really powerful.
Yeah, and John M. Chu really knocked it out of the park with his direction. This was the perfect guy for this job, and he just really he did a great job with that film. Karen, In the Heights, are you a fan?
I actually haven't seen it yet, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. I didn't see the Broadway play, so I'm not too familiar with the story, but overall it looks pretty interesting, so I'm looking forward to checking it out.
I'm definitely going to check it out a second time because yeah, it's that dazzling. It's really, really cool. Great film. All right, guys, one down. Next up, we just mentioned Catch the Fair One. For those watching, for those listening, it follows a former champion boxer who embarks on the fight of her life when she goes in search for her missing sister. And it stars Kaylee Reese, who is actually a female boxer turned actress and star of this film. And I actually got to speak with her as well. And she was just really cool to talk to, gave a great insight into the production of the film. And it's such a great way to start the festival because it's just such a dark, gritty thriller that it's up to us guys to promote this film because everybody needs to see it. Karen, were you the only one who saw it, or did you see it too, Mateo?
I saw.
Oh, you did. Okay. Karen, what were your thoughts on? Oh, you said you were a fan.
I really liked the performances overall. I thought it was really true to life. When I spoke to her, she mentioned that there were some elements in the story that were based on her own experiences in real life as a fighter. So that was really interesting to hear what she brought to the film, especially with this being her first movie acting in it. So overall, I really liked it.
She was so down to earth too. So it was really a pleasure to start off the festival talking to such a great person. Both on screen.
Seemed really humble, and happy that people were taking the time to speak with her.
Yeah, and this is like a second career for her acting, so it's really cool that she's doing that. So yeah, Matt, add Catch the Fair One. If you
didn't make it into the number 3. Sorry.
Ah, darn it. All right, we'll get there. We'll get there. All right, so Catch the Fair One, wonderful thriller. Check it out, guys, if you haven't done so already. All right.
Thriller though, I didn't know Thriller. Now it makes me upset that I didn't see it.
I mean, I guess you'd call it's like a drama, mystery, thriller-esque.
I'd say it's a thriller. It's a slow burn thriller. And that's interesting that it incorporates a little bit of her life too, because I also know she's a real life activist as well. And I don't want to spoil any of the plot of the movie, but that makes a lot of sense. The plot of the movie and what she does in real life. So
so I don't think I'm going to spoil it, but she is involved.
Hold on. Go.
Yeah. What's mittens? What's the phrase from that movie where they're about to curse? Earmuffs. Thank you.
Earmuffs.
So Kaylee Reese is involved with this organization for indigenous women who basically get abused, I believe it was, and she basically champions for them and tries to fight for their protection. And she's like Karen, like you said, a strong activist in that respect.
And as well, shout out to actually having an indigenous lead actor. Like that is something that is sorely underrepresented. In film.
We need Native American lead. We need that definitely for sure. Okay, guys, so Catch the Fair One. I think it might be in my top 3 of the festival. I thought
it was great.
I think it's up there. It's one of the best I've seen in the festival. So really glad I caught that. Okay, so next one, it's a random one. I actually caught this early on. Sisters on Track, which is a documentary. I think it's on Netflix now, or it's going to be. And it basically follows 3 young girls. I think they're in junior high school, and they basically they live in projects, and they actually discover track and field as a way to basically cope with life, their hardships, and they basically win all these these track meets, and they were actually on the cover of I think it was Sports Illustrated, and it's just a really beautiful documentary about these 3 young girls and like how you can just pull yourself out of just an unfortunate situation, kind of living kind of poor, and basically achieving stardom. being on the cover of a magazine. They were on, I forget which one was it. They were on a daytime talk show, and they basically were exposed to all this stardom. I thought it was great. It was a wonderful documentary. Did any of you guys see Sisters on Track?
I didn't. I wanted to see it, but just couldn't fit it in.
Gotcha. Well, it'll be on Netflix if it isn't already, and highly recommend that one. Okay, guys. So next up, I think some of you saw this one, Settlers, science fiction thriller, basically about a family that has colonized on Mars and basically get stalked by this. It's a kind of a twisty plot, but basically it follows this young girl who befriends this guy who's chasing after her, and it's all set against this desolate Mars backdrop. It is not Total Recall, but it is still a very good film. Who's
Not much
Settlers?
is Total Recall.
Yeah. Did any?
I saw.
Oh, there you go again. All right, Mateo, we're on the same page. Good. Settlers. Well, what did you think?
I think it's really strong. It was a lot more dark than I thought. It's another slow burn. Definitely not Total Recall. And it's a kind of film where there's you can't really go too much into the plot without spoiling it, because I think it is a film that the enjoyment of it is watching it unspool and go into a couple different directions.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting how the marketing of this film is, because often the marketing can completely spoil the film. But Johnny Lee Miller is in this. Nell Tiger Free, who was on Game of Thrones. It's visually beautiful. The acting's all great, and it gets pretty unsettling and creepy, as well as just some knockout performances. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it too. It's one of those rare films that I need to see more than once, because I'm pretty sure there was something I missed, some kind of detail that, because I wasn't blown away by it, but I wanted to be. And I know it has so much potential, given the setting, Mars. It's very exotic. But yeah, I'm gonna check it out again in the future, maybe when it gets a wide release, because I think it had a lot going for it.
Yeah, I agree. I can't say I was. Yeah, I can't say I was blown away by it either, but I also don't want that to be a negative thing, because I also thought it's a really good film.
Yeah, I think it could have used some tightening. Maybe a shorter runtime would have helped. I thought the performance from the.
I mean, I think it's only about an hour and a half.
Is
it's
it
pretty short?
It felt longer to me.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe hour and 40. But it is that kind of film where, it's that slow burn kind of film where it's meant to be not a lot happening in certain moments, so it can feel a little longer. But I feel you. I hear you.
For sure. So yeah, Settlers, guys. It's an interesting thriller, sci-fi thriller. So check it out. Next up, I got actually reviewed this last week on my show, The Conductor, which is all about Marin Alsop, who is one of the few female conductors, and it's basically about her upbringing, her history, her childhood up until where she is now, and it's just a really great story of a woman, against all odds, rising to stardom. Yes, Matt.
Just to clarify, we're talking about orchestra conductor, right? Not like a train conductor.
That's right. Though
I want to make sure.
I would see the train conductor movie. That would be amazing. But yeah, basically, it's an industry dominated by men, and she shattered the glass ceiling for this, and she was actually a student of Leonard Bernstein, and yeah, it's just a really nice, rich, colorful portrait of a very gifted person. So that's The Conductor, guys. It's awesome. It's one of the documentaries I saw. So that's The Conductor. Next up, I actually had the privilege of interviewing the filmmaker of this film. It's called Lorelei, and it is a dark drama, kind of bordering on thriller, but it's just a really gritty, realistic, I don't know, I guess you call it a slice of life about this guy who was in prison. Oh, played by Pablo Schreiber. Or was it Schreiber? Butchering names tonight. Forgive me, guys. He's been in prison for 15 years and he gets released, and basically he goes back to this sleepy town where he hooks up with his high school sweetheart, who now has 3 kids, all from different fathers, mind you. And it is about the two of them kind of just growing together and trying to just get out of this really miserable existence. It's got, like I said, Pablo and Jenna Malone, and they're very good together. Their chemistry is really, really strong. And I was very fortunate to interview Sabrina Doyle, who wrote and directed the film. So I was really happy to speak with her. It's a very bleak film. That's my one warning sign for you guys. Any of you see Lorelei? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I did, yeah.
Mateo, you're very you were very busy this season.
I tried. Yeah, that it was it's actually a holdover from 2020.
Okay.
And it was also, I want to say, at Toronto, but I missed it at Toronto.
Right.
But it was it was really good. You're right. It's a bleak drama.
Yeah.
But they're both fantastic, and the kids are also really good in it.
Okay.
And the dialogue feels very fresh and real.
Yeah, it feels like it's like these are actual. They're not actors. It doesn't feel like they're acting. You know, it's like they're real people plucked from the streets of this town, and here you are. Matt, are you a fan of Jenna Malone or Pablo?
It was. I was meant to see this one. I was trying to, and I was supposed to actually. They gave us the opportunity to interview Jenna for it, but it was when I was on my camping trip, and I couldn't make it happen. So
You
that
couldn't
didn't
do a
happen.
phoner?
Sorry?
You couldn't do a phoner with her?
Well, it was going to be for my podcast, which would have been an hour-long conversation,
Okay.
and I was in the middle of the woods where my signal wasn't that good.
Gotcha.
So it didn't happen. And I love her, and I love Pablo. You know, Pablo Schreiber was Liev Schreiber's half brother, who I have interviewed in the past for some stuff, and of course, a lot of people know from one of many things: Orange Is the New Black, The Wire. So he's kind of out there. People know him, but you know, he never kind of made it as big as his brother, I guess, half brother, I guess.
I think he has serious potential to catch up to his big brother because his performance in this was really, really electric, I'd say. All right, so that's Lorelei, guys. Definitely check it out. That might be on my top 5, I don't know, maybe 3. It's possible. Definitely top 5. Next one, yeah, I think this might have been one of the weakest films I've seen of the festival. Yeah, it's called The God Committee. I don't know if you guys saw it or even heard of it.
Yeah,
I was supposed to do interviews for and watch, but I was on a camping trip.
There you go. Yeah, I was trying to get an interview with Kelsey Grammer. That would have been amazing. Who is the star in this boring, directionless movie? I don't know. I had high hopes. I love Kelsey, but I don't think I've seen a film performance of his lately, or at all. That's really been, stand out. He's more of a TV actor than a movie actor, and this is just a strange one. I'm going to read off the synopsis real quick. An organ transplant committee has 1 hour to decide which of 3 patients deserves a life-saving heart. 7 years later, the committee members struggle with the consequences of that fateful decision. And it's as boring as it sounds, trust me. Yeah, so that's the God Committee. Julia Stiles is in it as well. Coleman Domingo from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. He's a great actor, among other things. Janine Garofalo's in it, and this is great. Dan Hedaya, who I have loved for years. Joe versus Volcano, Clueless, Blood Simple. This is this is an actor's actor, but his talents are really wasted in this film. It's really sad. Maybe this is one of those other movies that I need to watch more than once. I don't know, but yeah, I would say it's one of the lesser films of the festival for me. God Committee, The God Committee. All right, what do we
So
got?
you liked it? Then,
Yeah.
Randy? You
Oh, I
liked it.
loved it.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, kidding? So yeah, that steer clear. Unless you're a diehard Kelsey Grammer fan, have at it. Okay, so this is the one of the few short films I saw. It's called Last Meal, and it basically is a very short, I think it's about 21 minutes documentary about what inmates on death row eat before they are put to death. And it was edited really well. The information was really, it was an interesting film actually. I forget what someone ordered like breaded shrimp, breaded chicken, and a pound of strawberries for their last meal. So it had some interesting dining choices, I'd say.
Hold on, I'm gonna replace my order for dinner tonight. Could be right back.
There you go. Perfect. But yeah, it was awesome. Did any of you guys see Last Meal?
I did. I interviewed. Yeah, I interviewed like the filmmakers and stuff. So it was interesting to hear about their approach to making the movie and why they were really interested in kind of exploring that and overall. So it was really interesting. There was some information I didn't really know about before. So I like that aspect of the movie overall.
I would have asked, what was the research process like for this film?
Mhm.
Did you get any insight?
Yeah, they were talking about that as well, and found it interesting to just hear about what people wanted to eat and everything. So that was pretty cool. They would just like watch videos and really. They said they also worked with people who like set up food like in features and everything, and they helped like kind of set everything up in that sense. So that was interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How did they even find those I guess chefs or people who work in correctional facilities? They had to go to each prison probably, and it's a crazy. That would have been actually a fun job to just like research film and go really deep. But yeah, Last Meal, guys, check it out. It's a documentary short, and yeah, really interesting stuff there. I wish it was longer, actually, Karen. Do you wish it was a little longer?
Yeah, I felt that there could have been more stuff they could have added to it. So
Yeah, they could
yeah.
see what else inmates had. All right, Last Meal. And next up, oh, this is one of the better films of the festival for me, Glob Lessons. Mateo, you're nodding.
Yeah, no, I saw it, and it actually it's very funny. And I have been on a children's theater tour, much like they have, and it is strikingly real.
Wow.
The terribleness of some of these small towns, and the awful scripts that sometimes you're given, and that you try to rewrite it because the kids are looking at you like you're the last thing they want to see, and they're in school, and so
Right.
you know if you're worse than school, your show is definitely bad.
Right.
Yeah, it's very fun and clever.
So basically, guys, the synopsis: two mismatched strangers confront their fears of intimacy and inadequacy as they tour low-budget children's theater out of a minivan across the frozen upper Midwest. And it is written and directed by Nicole Rodenberg, who I have never seen before, but she is fantastic, wearing three hats. She's also the lead actress. Her and co-writer Colin Frober, it's their movie. They wrote it and they star in it, and their chemistry is great. I really want to see more from these two because it's just so quirky and offbeat. And it's just it's a fun movie. We reviewed it last week as well, and I think someone compared it to almost like Fargo, but just because they were in a frozen tundra type of atmosphere. But it's just a really offbeat, fun movie.
Minus the wood chipper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They were gonna put
Maybe
that.
just stepping on Lego blocks instead.
Yeah. They were gonna add that, but they went against that. But yeah, Glob Lessons is great. It is the quintessential dramedy, I'd say, because there are some really deep scenes, and some of the scenes where they're, especially in the motel room, where they're learning about themselves, sexuality, identity, and yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. The title leaves a little to be desired, but it makes sense once you see it. Glob Lessons. So that's that. Oh, this one actually, this is the last film I saw of the festival. Um, Not sure if you guys did too. Love Spreads. Um, no, Karen?
No.
I actually didn't hear about this one.
Oh, really?
About
Okay.
STDs.
Mhm.
It was actually pretty good. It kind of dragged a little bit. It's another dramedy. Synopsis: Tensions rise when members of an all-female rock band gather to record their second album, and they're basically sequestered in this like cabin in the middle of nowhere where they basically have to bang out this record in like a couple of weeks. It's got Aaliyah Shawkat, who loved her since always loved her since Arrested Development. She's a fantastic young actress. She's the lead in this. We also have Nick Helm, who is I believe an Englishman.
Yeah, British comedian.
Oh, you know him? Okay.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Really?
I watch a lot of shows on. Well, I mean, whether it's for YouTube or stuff like that, where I watch a lot of BBC and Channel 4 stuff
Oh, cool.
all the time.
Because this is the first time I've ever even heard of him. He's great in this, and yeah, I think he definitely holds his own with all this other. It's actually a really good cast as well. You've got Isa Gonzalez, who was in the From Dusk Till Dawn series a couple years back. I don't know if it's still going, but she's a beautiful young actress. She's in this as well. But Aaliyah Shawkat really anchors the film. She's the main focus. She's kind of like this neurotic, very bitter musician. She just wants to get the album done, and she's bordering on mental illness. So it's actually yeah, it's a dramedy. That is called Love Spreads, guys. So I was just curious about it because of Aaliyah, and it's decent. It's not great by any means, but it's worth checking out. All right, we got a couple more, and then we'll go to what I haven't mentioned. This was another short film I saw, No Longer Suitable for Use. I thought it was gonna be interesting. It was about a sting operation given by the FBI, and it dabbles with deportation. Very bleak, very short, and I'm grateful for its runtime because it was not very pleasant to watch. This one,
I just think that the last few film titles you've given us have all sounded like condom commercials.
about let's see. No Longer Suitable for Use, Love
Here's a
Spread,
condom commercial.
and Glob Lessons. Very astute, Matt. Very good. Very good.
Glob Lessons, not so much.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. If you think about it.
Oh God, that is funny. But yeah, guys, this one was really good. I think this is in my top 5 for sure. It's called 7 Days, and it is a romantic comedy. It's more of a comedy than a dramedy, I'd say. And basically, it's actually very timely. They actually wear masks in the movie, and it's about these two young Indian people whose parents set them up on an arranged date, basically right at the beginning of the pandemic. And the first scene, they're in like a park, wearing masks, socially distanced, having a picnic. Then they find out that there's quarantine, and then the world is going crazy. So basically, the lead, Karen Sony, who I've seen in other things, I can't place him, but he is forced to sleep over this girl's house who he just had one date with, the first date, and craziness ensues. She's not what he thought she was, vice versa. It's actually pretty zany, and the fact that it takes place during the pandemic, the relevance is really actually refreshing. So, did any of you guys see 7 Days?
Yeah, I did. It's one of my favorite films of the fest by far. It's fantastic. It's really really funny. Um, I don't think you said this, but Mark Duplass
Yeah,
produced it.
right.
And there's a genre I've started to see through film festivals this year of the COVID comedy.
Hmm.
And some are better than others. Recovery is a really, really good one. That was at South by Southwest this year.
Right.
And this is another one. There was a couple others actually in this festival that were also COVID comedies. But it's just really, really simple. It's almost the entire film is just the two of them.
Yep.
And it's really heartfelt. I want to see everything else that these two people do. It's a great film.
Yeah, and at first I didn't think I was gonna like Geraldine Vishwanathan, but she held her own. She was like very funny, also kind of serious. Definitely want to see more of her in the future. And Karen Stoney, Mateo, where have you seen? I can't place him. I know I've seen him in something else. Let me.
What has he been in? Yes, he has been in.
Looking him
Off
up.
the top of my head.
Deadpool. Yes. Deadpool.
Oh, right, he was in Deadpool. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, he was he was an Uber driver, I think. Sort of Deadpool's sidekick in a way. But yeah. But yeah, guys, 7 Days, really, really good, really smart, very well written, and again, it's just really nice to see a movie where they're using real world stuff like masks and incorporating that into the story. So that was actually really cool. So okay, 7 Days. I think the next one some of you have seen as well. Werewolves Within. Yay! Finally, Brad, we have a winner.
Well, it's not just because I've seen it; it's because it's my favorite film of the year. Period.
So far.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Bar none. Bar absolute none.
Wow.
Yeah, I absolutely love this movie, and a lot of people probably read about it by now. And yeah, it can be funny and lighthearted, but this is like so smartly done. It's a whodunit. It's Clue meets Monsters Do on Maple Street. A lot of people have maybe read my review on Cinema Daily US, or we had Harvey Guillen actually on our podcast, Overdue Rentals, for this. And we got to speak with him for a good hour about it. It's so smart, and it does everything that it does everything that other movies do that don't do that, because I hate when other movies do it. Like all the foreshadowing, when it comes back, does not come back the way you expect it.
Mm-hmm.
The only gripe I will have to say about it, and people who haven't seen it yet, plug your ears, I guess. I'm not giving anything away.
Yeah.
But if you do see a werewolf, I think the makeup was a little, less than I would have liked for. But
right.
Everything about this movie is just pitch perfect. Josh Rubin, who directed it, did an amazing job at being so smart. And again, it's a movie. I'm the type of person that when I see something, I've seen so many things over my lifetime that you can't fool me most of the time. So that pisses me off. If I see a movie and I'm saying that's predictable, it gets annoying. Even though I predicted what happens in this movie, it was done in such a great way that it doesn't matter. Yeah. I love this movie, and technically it's based on a video game.
Right.
So it's also the best video game movie. Oh, actually, the first truly good video game movie ever made. It's a
VR game. I really know nothing about it. I just read about it. It looked like an RPG almost.
Well, it's like they had card games Mafia or card games called Werewolf Tabletop, and it's just the VR version of that. So it's people get dealt out cards. They have different roles, and you're trying to figure out who's the werewolf, who's this, who's that.
Okay.
And so that's what it's based on, which is why it's also very Clue-esque.
Right. I would even say
Cluedo-esque for our British friends.
And throw a little Knives Out in for good measure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a whodunit in essence. Yeah.
Like I haven't seen a horror comedy done this well since maybe Shaun of the Dead. There's probably a couple after, but this was just really smart, really well acted. It's got a who's who cast of great comedic actors. Sam Richardson anchors the film beautifully as this ranger who comes to this sleepy town. His first day on the job, he's basically exposed to like supernatural and locals who are like psychotic. And it's got Milana Vaintrub, who you guys probably know from the AT&T commercials, and she has pitch perfect comedic timing.
It's everybody in this movie knows who they are, and they know it's satire to a point where it's brilliant performances that most people would probably say, hey, that's funny, hey, that's cute. But everybody knows so well what they're supposed to be doing here, and they pull it off like clockwork. Fantastic.
I thought you were gonna say like butter. Okay.
Nah, I missed that. I skipped on that one. Sorry.
Karen, I know you're a horror buff. Have you seen this film?
Yes, I did. I actually also interviewed the director, and I was really had high hopes. Really wanted to like this one. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm as big of a fan as Matt was, but
oh no, Matt! Matt.
Ow!
I think part of it was because it was one of the last movies I watched during the festival. I was watching multiple movies a day, so I was kind of festival fatigued out. I was kind of okay, I'm kind of ready to rest. But I did enjoy the visuals and everything, and the comedy. Just in general, horror comedy really has to be good for me to really like it. I'm more into the drama-driven horror movies, but overall, this one was pretty good. Not as good as I was hoping, or not as I don't think I liked it as much as Matt did, but overall, I liked it. So
it's funny that it was the last movie you saw, because I actually saw it almost a month before the festival started, because we talked to Harvey 2 weeks before the festival started. So we watched it really early on.
Interesting.
I think I might have to watch it again just to get refreshed, because at that point I'm I watched so many movies. I was kind of really tired, and I kind of watched it later in the day. So I'm I think I need to rewatch it, because after hearing what you were saying, Matt, I'm I like parts of it, but I'm no, I think I want to watch it again just to see what I was missing. So yeah, but I like talking to the director, so it was really interesting to hear how he made it overall. So yeah.
This movie is the perfect palate cleanser after all these bleak dramedies, these bleak dramas, sobering documentaries. Then along comes Werewolves Within, which is this very silly, very fun horror comedy. It's just a great. I love that this was part of the festival, because it did not. It seems so out of place that it was just beautiful. So I'm really glad it was here. And I so see this having a cult following in the next year. I want to see more of Sam Richardson. I thought he was very funny. So yeah, Werewolves Within. Mateo, you didn't see, right?
No, it was one of my top movies I was looking forward to, and I stupidly just kind of put it to the side, and the festival was over, and I realized I didn't watch it. So I'm very excited. There, as with most festivals, there's a lot of bleak coming of age dramas or slice of life. So I am looking forward to a fun palate cleanser. I slightly off topic. I just watched Vicious Fun for Shudder, and that was a nice palate cleanser post Tribeca, because it is ridiculous horror comedy. So I think Werewolves is going to be right up my alley.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I don't want to harp on it too long though, but that's the thing. Yes, it's definitely could be seen as a palate cleanser type movie, but again, because they did such an amazing job putting it together, is why I have no qualms calling it the best film I've seen this year, because this is just like a lot of stuff. People don't want to give credence to certain things because they're not serious dramas, or they didn't have some crazy twist in it or something like that. When you do something right, it's worth it. And this is one of those films that it doesn't make a difference whether you didn't laugh or you thought it was too serious, whatever, either way, it's so good.
Yeah. It's a fun one for sure. And again, the cast really knocks it out of the park. It's really about the characters. It's a character-driven horror comedy. Not to give away too much, but I won't. I won't say it. But it's really about the people for sure. So yeah, Werewolves Within. It's so much fun. Kind of on par with Army of the Darkness, Shaun of the Dead, all that good stuff. Also, I wanted to mention you don't really see a lot of good werewolf movies these days. I mean, it's mostly vampires. I haven't seen werewolves represented. I mean, I guess Twilight to a certain extent, but this
I mean,
movie,
There was
not
gonna-
super modern, but if you never saw Dog Soldiers, go watch Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers is great. There was going to be the spin-off of What We Do in the Shadows. With
Where
werewolves, but
werewolves.
right.
Or just werewolves, right?
Werewolves. I think it was werewolves, yeah.
love
But that hasn't happened at least yet. But
Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. All right. So Werewolves Within, awesome. One of the best. Definitely the best for you, Matt. That's awesome.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
So this next one, a little different. It's a documentary, and it's called The Kids, and it basically follows the production of the 1995 controversial film Kids, which follows a group of young skaters who have sex, they fight, they drink, they do drugs, all in a day's work. The Kids is the documentary which follows the production and gets some really interesting insights into the making of one of the. I love Kids. Side note, I was 14 or 15 when I saw this movie, which is a few years after when those kids were 14. And this movie just blew me away. If you guys haven't seen it, those watching or listening, Kids is a 90s classic. It feels like a documentary. It feels real. And I think a lot of portions of it are. It is scripted loosely by Harmony Korine. And yeah, it's just a crazy movie that follows these kids doing like the worst things imaginable. So it's really nice to see some behind the scenes look, some behind the scenes stuff for this film. Did any of you guys catch this documentary, The Kids?
no, I didn't. I'm not a fan of Kids.
Okay.
It's just not a film that I like, and I'm not a fan of Harmony either.
You know what? It's funny. I mean, I haven't seen the documentary yet either. But even if you're not a fan, I think it's actually then worth watching the documentary, because the documentary, from what I understand, is from the view of some of its stars, including one who's close to the one friend who killed himself, and it's kind of shining a light on the fact that it was a horrible thing that they did, and so it actually may be not brighter, but it may be more geared toward you because it's not trying to put up kids in a good light.
Yeah.
See, that actually sells it more than the actual kind of material that I read over, because I do think Kids, it is considered a quote unquote classic, and introduced Rosario Dawson to the world and all of that. But I think it's a really dangerous film. I think it's a mishandled film. So I actually would be interested in talking about the danger of that and why it was irresponsible filmmaking, if that is what they're saying, because that's how I've always felt with Kids.
So you've got Larry Clark, who is the director. I believe he was in his 50s when he filmed it. and he would basically hang out in these skater parks in New York City, in Manhattan, and basically take pictures of skater kids, and like, I don't know if it was real marijuana they were smoking.
It was, yeah. Larry Clark's a disaster, so I imagine the real stories from behind that filmmaking is probably pretty more interesting than the film itself.
There's a really good scene. They show a press conference at, I forget which film festival it was, where Kids was entered, and it was Larry Clark and Harmony Korine in this press conference, and the reporters are basically just asking all these questions like, "How could you do this?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I've never done a press conference. These questions feel like attacks." It's like I wonder why. You just film porn and drug use with underage kids. So what do you expect? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. But it is interesting to see what went on behind the scenes, because it's a great, Kids is a great film, even if its filmmaking is questionable and potentially illegal. So that's The Kids. Check it out if you're curious. Also worth mentioning, some of the kids that were in the film, Justin Pierce and Harold Hunter, they actually passed away not too long, just a few years after the film. One to suicide, the other to an accidental overdose. So it's actually an interesting light that they shine on stardom and children, at least teenagers. So it's unfortunate that this happened, but yeah, it's an interesting look. Again, really interesting. So that's the end of my list of what I saw. So I'm gonna give it over to you guys now, I guess. Karen, what have you seen that I haven't mentioned?
Well, one of them was like what I mentioned earlier, False Positive. It's about a couple in New York City that's been having trouble conceiving a baby, and they're really successful in their careers, and they want to start a family, and they go to a fertility clinic, and once the wife eventually does become pregnant, she starts to suspect that like the doctor and her husband are really plotting against her, and I just overall thought it was like a really interesting like character study into kind of like people thinking they have like everything they want in life, and then realizing that things may not be what they appear. And I just really like the dynamics of the performances and the cast overall, and thought that was really interesting. So that was one that really stood out for me as well.
Cool. False Positive. Who was the lead in that?
Pierce Brosnan was in it, and so he played the doctor, and Justin Theroux was the husband, and trying to remember who the wife was.
It's Ilana Glazer's. It's Ilana Glazer's film. She co-wrote it as well. Yeah.
Cool. She's typically a comedy actress, right?
Well, everybody will know her probably from Broad City more than anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I tried to get some interviews on that one, and Pierce Brosnan would have been incredible, but we'll see. Maybe. But
I didn't do any interviews for that one, but I just saw it and for its Hulu release, and I really liked it. So I definitely recommend that one.
Yeah, it is on Hulu now for everybody to watch. I mean, it is. Yeah, it's already on. It's already up on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
that was quick. All right. Matt, what was one of the three films or no?
Well, I saw The Novice, which I did want to see, which is Lauren Hadaway, who's the writer director. She was a collegiate rower. This is her first feature. She actually used to work on sound departments a lot. She also worked on the sound department for Whiplash, because that's a lot of people are going to compare this film to Whiplash.
Right.
It's about a college freshman who gets to the novice rowing team and kind of pushes herself to be the best. It stars Isabel Furman, who most people know from The Orphan. I spoke to Isabel Furman actually maybe less than 24 hours before she was named Best Performance for the festival for her performance in The Novice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and because it was interesting too. It's a great movie, and it is again something that everybody who knows me knows I love is when movies kind of go against what you think they're supposed to be doing. And here's a movie where you think it's all going to be about it's going to be about like the quote unquote Rudy, the one, no, you can't do it, but then they do it. But it becomes a very dark character study of somebody who's willing to basically just fuck everybody else over. I'm sorry, can we curse on the show?
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Fuck everybody else over just to prove that she can do it.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting was when I was talking to Isabel, while we didn't disagree on what she was trying to do, I found it a lot darker than I think she was trying to go with it.
Really?
And I liked the fact that it was darker. I told this to her, like, not saying for anything what they did, what the character actually did, but if I was going to compare them to another fictional character, I would say Alex from A Clockwork Orange, because it's somebody who I don't think is ever going to change, or that people want to change and they can. And it was just so screwed up in that the fact that I'm just like, wow, it really settles with you. And she was fantastic.
You know what? It's funny. I actually looked at a different list, but I had 2 more movies I wanted to mention. I forgot. But The Novice was on that list, and I wholeheartedly agree with you that this was whiplash on the water. So, it was so good, so intense. Isabel Fuhrman was fantastic. Great young actress. I thought she was a lot older than she is, but I guess it's a testament to her intense.
She wasn't 30 when she made The Orphan. Okay, that was just a character.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
She wasn't. She didn't pull a Luke Perry 90210. But yeah. So The Novice is an intense. I call it a thriller. It's a drama, but it leans towards thriller.
It's a psychological drama / thriller in a way, yeah. And it hits all the beats perfectly where it should. And every time you think it's about to hang on something that is typical for a movie of its kind, it just goes the other way.
Yeah. Guys, Mateo, Karen, did you see The Novice?
I did. I loved it. Well-deserved awards that it got from Tribeca this year. It's a very, very exciting film.
I could see her being nominated even for an Oscar. I could see that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And this is a movie I definitely want to revisit. I'm sure there's details that I missed first time around, but yeah, very, very deep, very heavy subject matter. This girl is really insane, but I don't want to give too much. All right, so that's The Novice. Okay, so there was one more movie on my list, and it is called How It Ends. It's a dramedy, another one. What, Matt? What happened?
No, the thing was that pissed me off about it was like that was the one I was trying to get in before they took it off the CineSem, the virtual screening, because of course it has so many different people in it, that everybody loves, and I was trying so hard to see it and I just couldn't fit it in, so I'm a little pissed off.
Yeah. It's basically about this young woman. It's the end of the world, basically. Well, right before the end of the world, an asteroid is about to hit Earth in just a couple of hours. So it's about different people in this neighborhood making plans for their end of the world party. This one young woman is just walking down the street, and she encounters all these people from her life. It's very interesting. She's joined by her younger self. So basically, her past self has materialized and is walking with her down the street in this neighborhood. And they
singing sorry, had to be done.
Fred Armisen's he's involved with it. It's a wacky plot, and yeah, it's a dramedy through and through. I think it's just more of a comedy, but it's a fun one for sure. I'm actually still trying to get an interview for the film, but we will see what happens with that. I'll keep you guys posted with that. But as for my list, that is my Tribeca 2021.